SEC fans, welcome to week 4 of Best of the West. I'm your host, Kevin Bohannon, and as always, my co host, Jake Thomas. Jake, how are we doing, bud?
Man, excited. It's been a great week, and man, glad to have you back. Thanks for Steven for filling in last week, but the gang's back together, so let's get rolling, brother.
Yeah, sometimes life happens, especially electrical fires and all that good stuff. So, yeah, good to be back, and I'm glad you are down off of your high anxiety tree from last weekend. We'll talk a little bit about that here in the coming minutes. So, yeah, we'll jump in and look back at week 3. Um, I want to talk about Mississippi State and Memphis real quick.
Go ahead.
You've seen the play, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
The punt
Yeah,
return.
yeah.
Okay, so everybody was talking about two number fours being on the field, which I could care less. Arkansas actually got called for that.
Yeah, I remember that.
And so the kid goes down, touches his knees. If you've been living under a rock and haven't seen it, Mississippi State punted the football. It had a good roll down to about the 6 yard line. The punting team member goes down, touches it with the knee. Memphis State, I still call Memphis State because I live there. And, Memphis picks it up. He takes it 94 yards to the crib. Well, as the Mississippi State player goes up and touches the ball, the back judge comes in and waves signals. That's just like an inadvertent whistle. Inadvertent whistle or inadvertent signal, it should have been dead at that moment and their ball. Instead, it was a touchdown that put the Tigers up 28-17, I believe, and the final being 31-29. The SEC does have an officiating problem.
Oh
No,
yeah.
no doubt. There's too many problems. You go back to the Arkansas Auburn game last year, the Bo Nix fumble where we recovered, should have won that game. LSU, we had another one, but it's not just Arkansas, it's Mississippi State, it's everybody where there's officiating problems every week. What are they going to do about this, Jake?
uh, Greg Sankey's got to do something because there is a problem. I know in the Alabama game of the day, last Saturday, we missed, or they missed two horse collars, one
Yeah.
against both teams. And I'm not so homer Alabama that, whenever there's a bad play and there should be a penalty against us, it ought to be called. But there were some questionable calls in that game as well that shouldn't have been called, I believe. So he needs to do something because, like you said, it's across the board, and it's been like this for 2 years now, really longer.
Yeah.
And something's got to change because it's getting bad, and it's changing outcomes of games now, and that's really bad.
Yeah.
So something's got to be done.
Yeah. Penn State had to punt on the phantom third down last week.
Yeah.
And they figured it out 2 plays later. And that's one thing for them not to be able to keep up with it on the field because there's 7 of them. But when the replay booth gets it wrong, that's too much. So Penn State did beat Auburn last week, 28-20. Auburn's first real test of the year. They weren't playing Akron; they were playing at the annual whiteout. Penn State seems like they're legit right now, maybe making a run in the Big Ten title. Georgia took care of South Carolina. JT Daniels, even with a strained abdominal muscle, they lit them up. LSU took care of Central Michigan 49-21. Stanford, in the battle of the academic schools, they beat Vanderbilt 41-23. Ole Miss put up 8 million yards against Tulane last week. Ole Miss is for real, y'all. I'm just going to go and say that right now that they worry me. I think they should worry a lot of people.
Next week.
Yeah,
Next week.
that's going to be fun. Look at the rest. Arkansas, of course, took care of business against a Georgia Southern team that's struggling to find an identity right now. 45-10, big week from KJ Jefferson, 366 yards, which is a career high, 3 touchdowns. Traylon Burks had 3 catches for 127 yards, including a 91-yard bubble screen that he took to the house. Rushing game still looks really good. You got like 19 ball carriers, It's really good. Malik Hornsby, little Lamar Jackson out there running around in the fourth quarter. And there was a big game over in the Swamp. Jumped up 21-3 after the first quarter, and then decided just to cruise the rest of the way, huh?
Yeah, and decided to get my blood pressure way up here where it did not need to be. But okay, I've had a few days to look over. I rewatched the game, and I made a comment last night on SEC After Dark with the guys. In hindsight, it was a huge win for Alabama because they won in a very hostile environment against a top 15 team.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, like Stacy made the comment on our show Monday night when we did a review of the game.
Yeah,
he said there wouldn't be another team in college football, maybe besides Georgia, that could have gone in that environment the way Florida was playing and win that game.
Yeah,
I believe that. Maybe Ole Miss too. Maybe, but Ole Miss's defense kind of still. But overall, it also gives Saban a lot to teach on, and that he needed a game like this, a tough, grit out game. Okay, Mercer, you can't really teach on that because it is what it is. It's Mercer. I mean, Alabama's going to win that 10 out of 10 times.
Right.
Miami is not showing to be that great of a team now. He needed a tough struggle win, as I call it. He got it here.
In the year, yeah.
Yeah, he got it. I mean, Florida, maybe I kind of slept on them in the East. I didn't think they was going to be really that good with Emory Jones. And honestly, he killed us on the, with his legs. He didn't really pass much.
It's because he's a terrible passer.
Right. So, Saban needed that game to get the guys focused, and that's the reason why I think Alabama's going to cover the spread this week. I think you're going to see a more improved team, and it's pretty much hell on wheels going forward.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think, like you said, they needed that game to recalibrate the defense. I think, I don't think they'll allow 258 yards again this year on the ground and 7-8 yards a carry. So look at the rest of the SEC. Of course, Missouri and Tennessee over in the East, they took care of business against SEMO and Tennessee Tech. So they got their lollipops. Missouri 0-1 in the SEC. Of course, Kentucky's 1-0. So let's look ahead to week 4. Not a whole lot going on this week.
Really?
The Southwest Classic in Arlington has gotten the CBS game of the week. It's Arkansas's first time on CBS since 2017 against TCU. Woo woo. So the Hogs are finally, worthy of getting that game and worthy of getting a little bit of praise. So let's look through the SEC real quick. LSU, Mississippi State. This is 11 o'clock ESPN or 11 o'clock Central on ESPN. This is an interesting game because we don't know if both. This kind of will decide the trajectory of both teams. Do you agree?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I seen on our picks that you both had picked LSU.
Yeah.
And Corey asked me last night when I was in the chat why I'm picking LSU. To me,
Mississippi State terrible.
Well, they showed up and showed out against NC State, and then they lose. Yeah, it was a bad call against Memphis, but point is, Max Johnson, I think, is the real deal at quarterback for them.
Yeah, I agree.
Now there was it did come out today, just maybe an hour or two ago. I saw that kind of has been worried, but Stingley may not play in this game. He's very questionable, is what I saw. So, that might hurt defensively for them because, gosh, they still struggle, on the defense side. But I just think talent-wise, LSU's more talented, has got more players than Mississippi State does at this point. That's why I'm picking LSU.
Yeah, I agree. I'm there with you. Looking at Missouri is a 1.5 point favorite at Boston College. I think we both took BC or Missouri on that one. So
Yeah.
it's really kind of a pick 'em if you look at it. Georgia, I think we both agree that they're going to take care of business against Vandy. Vandy's they're back where they belong at the bottom of the SEC. Georgia State and Auburn. Georgia State is not Georgia Southern. Auburn's 27.5-point favorite. I think Auburn proved a lot of people last week, and then they'll go back to their Rudy Poos this week. I think they'll take care of business. Kentucky and South Carolina is really interesting. Looks like across the board, everybody in our network took Kentucky. Talk a little bit about that game.
You know, when they come out at 5, I think it's like 5.5.
Yeah,
I was shocked because, you know, I think talent wise, Kentucky's worlds ahead of South Carolina. But I did see that the last 2 games against these 2 teams at Kentucky has gone to the last possession. I did not know that.
Yeah, Chattanooga last week it was 14-13 going up, and Will Levitt came back down to earth after throwing for 8 gajillion yards his first week.
Yeah.
You know, he threw a couple picks. You can't make mistakes even against FCS schools that they come back to bite you in the rear end. So I think everybody is respecting the job that Shane Beamer is doing right now. He's a very transparent coach, and you can kind of put Shane Beamer and Sam Pittman kind of in the same bucket, if you want to say, about guys that, you know, really aren't your traditional, you know, Power 5 guy that you go after. They're not the, you know, X's and O's wizard like Lane Kiffin or Eli Drinkwitz, that type of coach. I think Beamer Ball version 2.0 is going to take off there at South Carolina, and he's going to recruit well. So that's going to be an interesting game over in the East this week. Florida's a 3-touchdown favorite against Tennessee. These people are delusional, okay? And I know this is the East, but, you know, we like to go through our picks every week and give our opinion on them. That's all right. It's our show.
Right.
These people are delusional. Delusional, Jake. Delusional. So they get on Twitter, and Texas fans are like this too. They get on Twitter. We're so far ahead of y'all in football and baseball and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, my gosh. And I can't even argue with them because you can't argue with somebody that is that far out there, that far gone.
Oh, yeah. Way out there.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how I feel about Auburn fans.
Yeah. Is Anthony Richardson going to be back this week? Do we know?
I mean, I would. If he can play, he ought to play. I mean, last week, there was video of him during the Alabama game of him doing like backflips and cartwheels, you know, and he still didn't play. So, I mean, my gosh, if you're doing backflips and cartwheels, my gosh, your hip ain't that bad.
No kidding. Yeah. Yeah, I still wish I could do a cartwheel at 40 years old, but that ain't happening.
I can't do it at 30.
Yeah, Alabama 6.5 touchdown favorite. I think they come out with some renewed vigor this week, and Southern Miss is down a little bit off of you know, a few years ago. I think they went like 12-1, won the conference title, and, you know, finished in the top 20. This ain't the same Southern Miss team, but I think Alabama has a good chance to cover this week because I think they're going to work on a few things, especially the run game. Don't you think?
Well, Robinson's a game time decision. He's questionable right now. But in all honesty, I made a comment the other night on our show, Tide Talk podcast. But to me, Jason McClellan right now is the next guy to me that's showing that star potential.
No doubt.
Be the next Najee. So if Brian Robinson doesn't get to play, you're going to see a lot more of him and Trey Sanders, and you may see Wheaton a little bit this week as well. So, that's good potential. And by the way, my wife said that she put my Alabama socks on at the door, and I just saw them. So I will not change my socks on while my camera is on. Trust me, you do not want to see my feet, people.
There you go. So, yeah, I'm interested to see McClellan get some more touch back there, too. I was really impressed that the touchdown reception he had early in the game showed really good feet, really good balance, getting in there for the touchdown. I think he could be one of those next backs for Alabama that really takes off. And the Southwest Classic, Texas A&M is a 5-point favorite versus Arkansas. Whoever Jeb is picked A&M. Everybody else picked Arkansas except for Hank and Alex. So it's pretty split across the board here, which I think that's what Vegas wanted with a 5. It started out at 5.5. It's at 5. I'm torn, because I have a fandom hat, but A&M has a really good defense. Our local sports talk show on the afternoons, Drive Time Sports, which I'm a contributor in here in Little Rock. I go and talk high school and then Razorback baseball, some football. But Chris Turnage, who is a agent, NFL agent, lives here in Little Rock, says A&M's got 16, first, second, third round picks on their team right now, which is not surprising considering how Jimbo Fisher has recruited. We all know that they've recruited 4- and 5-star talent out the yin yang. Okay.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. Zach Calzada hasn't shown me anything yet. He's not Haynes King. They do have a good running back combo, but Luke Matthews, the star center, he's out. You got a freshman center who's starting. Their O-line is not the greatest in the world right now, but their D-line is. So it could be a low-scoring affair. I think Arkansas can pull it out. We're on a 9-game losing streak to these fools. It's time to put them back in their place. And, we got 2 years left on the contract at Jerry World, but I think Arkansas pulls this one out.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, Kevin. A&M struggled against Colorado. I know Calzada, whatever. He's come in and was kind of
zone.
Whatever. I got food on my mind. But anyway, thing about it is they struggled against Colorado. Colorado got rolled by Minnesota last week.
Yeah, 30-0. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and Jefferson is looking great right now for Arkansas. So I just don't. Yeah, I know the defensive line is probably a little bit better than Arkansas's offensive line, but I don't see how they're going to score against Arkansas, to be honest.
So, Pro Football Focus has Arkansas's offensive line. They do a good job. If you go to Pro Football Focus, it's a paid subscription, but they tout their statistics every week.
Right.
And the Arkansas O-line has graded at 87 over the first 3 weeks. That's tops in the SEC and 10 points better than the next place team. So
that's not
with
bad.
That said, I think it's a great point. They do have a great D-line but they're 160 yards a game rushing is what they're giving up.
Yeah, they are.
It's kind of backwards if you look at their defense because they have one of the top defenses in the land statistically, but 77 yards passing a game. What Colorado wanted to do, they wanted to shorten the game, so they ran the ball on their, exotic reverses and everything that they do. They don't throw the ball down the field very much. Memphis, they're high flying, but they figured they could run the ball quite a bit, which they did last week. Memphis went in that game averaging like 600 yards offense. So I think it's going to come down to special teams at the end of the day, which makes me a little nervous, but hopefully KJ keeps taking that progression. I know we had a comment on our chat, QB run will decide this game.
Oh, yeah.
Good point.
Jefferson.
Yeah, I think we'll have more designed runs. And I think you'll see more of the playbook come out. The first 3 weeks, we've been really vanilla. You've seen some gap scheme. We ran that a little bit more last week against Georgia Southern and showed that where we're pulling the backside guard and tackle. Dominic Johnson popped off a 48-yard run. And then the first touchdown of the game, Traylon Smith, it looked like the great Red Sea opened up, and he took it in for 13 yards out untouched. So playmakers abound. I think Arkansas does have some more playmakers right now than Texas A&M. So
I agree.
It's going to be really interesting to see. So
I want to ask you something, Kevin.
Yeah.
The next couple weeks is murder's row for you guys.
No doubt.
You have A&M, Georgia, Ole Miss, and Auburn. Realistically, what do you think they can pull out?
Realistically, if we get out of it 2-2, that's a win.
I think so too.
Yeah, I think you have a chance this weekend, of course.
Right.
And then I don't think we win at Georgia. That's just not going to happen. And then you hope to split Ole Miss or Auburn. And, right now you would say Auburn is that, even though we beat Ole Miss last year, but it's not the same Ole Miss team. It'll be interesting to see what happens. The good thing is Next weekend, Alabama and Ole Miss play, so we kind of get Ole Miss on the back end of that. Maybe something happens. I'm not wishing anybody's hurt, beat up, but a little bit more tired than what they usually are. I would take that. Sorry, Steven.
Yeah,
So
go ahead.
yeah, next year we won't have that stretch. I think the worst we have is A&M and Texas back to, or A&M and Alabama back to back. So it's been tough the last 2 years to go through this type of schedule. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
But it's the SEC. What do you expect?
Exactly. Every week is a dogfight. But yeah, right now, it's crazy to think that, beginning of the year, A&M was talking about being in the same breath as Alabama. Now, if Arkansas beats them Saturday, they're probably not going to be anywhere near the top of the SEC, because I don't think if they lose Arkansas, I don't think they can beat Ole Miss. I don't think they can beat Alabama. Just my personal opinion.
Oh, no doubt.
And I don't know if they can beat Auburn right now.
Yeah.
So
especially the way they run the ball with Bigsby and Jordan. What's his name? Yeah, they do.
Dude,
both of them are the top two backs in the SEC right now. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
See what happens in that game. So, all right. So those are our picks, and every week we're sponsored by BetOnline.ag. If you like to get out there and make some picks, you can listen to us. I think I'm a little over 50% on the year. So is Jake. So
Yeah.
you would at least make a little bit of money.
No.
Just, we're not selling our picks by any means.
No.
So you reposted something the other day, and it really got me. And we were talking about Tennessee and how their fans react. And I still, not back in 1996, back when Spurrier in his fun and gun offense, you had Ike Hilliard, Jaquez Green, Chris Doering was catching passes from Danny Werfel. Of course, Chris Doering is a analyst for SEC Network right now, and he had a take that really irritated the hell out of me, because Alabama's the top-ranked team in the nation. They came in number one. Did they play? Have they played up to their potential? No, but he was on, and I forget his partner that he was on with. They
Peter Burns, I believe.
Yeah, Pete Burns. Mm-hmm. He said, "You're a clown if you think Alabama is elite right now." That's the most ridiculous thing ever to say for the top team in the nation. If Alabama's not elite, then nobody else is. The bottom line. Ohio State got beat by Oregon. Does that make Oregon elite? Well, they're up there right now, okay? We'll put it up there. Clemson got beat by Georgia. Georgia did not score an offensive touchdown that game. Mm-hmm. Georgia struggled a little bit, but they bounced back against South Carolina and whoever they played after that. So to say Alabama's not elite, it just blows my mind. How can you get paid bukus of money every week and have a take like that?
Yeah, and it's what we call it as Alabama fans is Bama fatigue.
Yeah,
because we hear this all the time, and it's a joke. And I was pretty clear on it. I think he's a clown for what he said. Like it sounds like you're in the same boat with me, because I mean, like I commented to you the other day when you retweeted that. Alabama is elite until proven otherwise. Until somebody comes in and beats them, then they're still the top dog around college football. Now, I'm not saying. I mean, Ole Miss could definitely beat us next week.
Yeah.
But I mean, Clemson was top dog a few years ago when they beat us in the national championship game.
Yeah,
so
it's true. So but you can have more than one elite team, and
exactly.
R.J. Young with the number one show on Fox, he does his tiers every week, and I think he had Arkansas and Clemson on the same tier after we beat Texas. Are we on the same level with Clemson? No. Are we playing better football than Clemson right now? Probably.
Yeah. Clemson can't score a touchdown.
DJ Ukulele can't, move the ball down the field and he keeps throwing picks.
Yeah.
So,
Ukulele.
I think that no disrespect to the young man. It's a hard name to say.
Right.
The term elite gets thrown around so much, especially in today's world where if somebody has a great performance, they're elite. No, I think an elite program or player is somebody that does something consistently to where they've proven it over a length of time.
Mm-hmm.
So to come out and says, and maybe he quantified it by saying Alabama's not elite right now. So, but I still think that's the most idiotic take ever because they're the number one team in the nation. So that was just my rant for the week. It just really caught my ire with everybody else that is all up in arms right now. And they're, it's football season. Everybody loves to get out there and, talk, have their opinion. The talking heads and the prognosticators are, they get paid a lot of money for this, but have some respect for the game and the teams. I know those guys don't read the press clippings, and Coach Saban doesn't really care for that because he's going to go out there and do his job.
Absolutely, and I mean, there's bulletin board material for Saban as well. I mean, he can take that clip and say, "All right, guys, people don't think you're elite. Now, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah,
are you going to keep playing mediocre like you have all year? Are you going to go out there and prove that you are the top dog like you have been? I mean, 6 championships in 10 years. How can you say that's not elite status?
Yeah, and the problem was last year.
Mm-hmm.
That run was so dominant.
It was.
And Mac Brown was throwing to first round draft picks.
Mac Jones.
Mac Jones was throwing 6-10 yards behind the defense back there. So that's what everybody goes back to immediately. They don't go back to the Greg McElroy days where they were game managers and turn around and handed the ball to Mark Ingram when he won his first one in 2009.
Yeah,
and went 14-0. Everybody, they want to compare it to the last season, which you can't do. You got to look at the bigger picture. So, enough on that. So, hope everybody enjoyed the show and enjoy our picks, everything, our analysis. We want to thank our buddy Stephen Willis at Willis Digital Media for sponsoring this and hooking us up. So, for Jake Thomas, I'm Kevin Bohannon. Get out there and watch some football this weekend. We'll see you next week.